All right. Well, we are constantly getting messages for us to talk about professional wrestling. Quite frankly, I'm not all that interested in mainstream professional wrestling right now, but we're going to go ahead and talk about professional wrestling since that's what everybody wants.
Yep.
What is one of the problems that you see with professional wrestling, Doug? To me, one of the biggest problems is they are not holding themselves accountable for the state of the wrestling business, for the problems that are going on, for the lack of ratings, for the lack of pay-per-view buys. No one wants to take the accountability and responsibility for the decline of the wrestling business. They want to blame other things besides the wrestling business.
I agree, and I also feel like, there's been certain situations that are extremely frustrating, like when it comes to the creative writing aspect of professional wrestling. But all in all, I just feel like that the people that are in charge of professional wrestling are not willing to try new ideas. They are so stuck in their old ways and they just don't understand why it doesn't work anymore. Well, I mean, let's go back and think about old professional wrestling, okay? There was nothing to compare it to. Boxing was the closest thing that you could compare it to, and boxing was clearly different because it was just your hands. Now with mixed martial arts being around and being so huge, you clearly see what a real fight is like, okay? So professional wrestling cannot compete with that. But what it can do, and I don't think it needs to be as realistic as MMA. I think that's a horrible idea. Honestly, I think it needs to be more of what separates professional wrestling from mixed martial arts. The high flying, the crazy maneuvers, the innovation, things like that. The athleticism.
And I think the storylines need to stop being so complicated.
Or corny.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
silly. I mean,
the match types too.
Okay, seriously. Everybody wants to say that the Final Resolution was a great pay-per-view, okay? The casket match was atrocious, okay? And it's not necessarily to blame Pope and Abyss's effort. It's the fact that the concept is so stupid and corny now. Like, it worked back in the day because it fit the storyline.
And it fit the time period.
And we weren't that smart back then. Yeah. We were excited. It was a new concept. Now, it's just silly and stupid. The fact that because a guy gets put in a casket and you close the casket on him and the match is over, that's just retarded. It makes him laugh, Like back in the day, if it was Undertaker in a casket match, we'd be excited. I could care less if Undertaker's in a casket match now because the concept is completely retarded.
And Doug, do you really honestly think, does TNA Creative honestly think that having Samoa Joe and Jeff Jarrett in an MMA style match is going to draw the MMA fan in?
And here's my problem with it, okay? It was Jarrett making fun of mixed martial arts. Well, how can you make fun of something that is so superior to you? If you're making fun of mixed martial arts and it's so superior to your product, then the only thing that does is make you look stupid. It makes you look stupid. It makes you look like you have no clue what you're talking about. And it makes TNA look like they don't have a clue, which honestly is the truth. Yep. They don't have a clue. And if anything, if you were going to have some type of mixed martial arts representative, you would pick Joe. And Joe's a younger, better athlete than Jeff Jarrett, and if he has mixed martial arts training and he's facing Jarrett in a mixed martial arts type of match, shouldn't he go in there and crush him in 3 minutes?
But when you look at how mixed martial arts has been incorporated into pro wrestling in the past, especially with Ring of Honor,
yes,
like you see guys like Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness when they were having their match, like it was a very stiff Japanese style match. But they would incorporate submission maneuvers into their match, MMA moves into their match.
Yes.
They weren't having an MMA match with MMA gloves.
No.
Pulling guard, and it was horrible.
Joe pulling guard and asking Jarrett to get in his guard. That stuff is just awful. And then the submissions that they're pulling off are obviously fake. You know when a real submission is on a guy, and that's an obviously fake submission. So you make pro wrestling look even more fake, and it just makes a big mockery out of pro wrestling, and it makes you look stupid for even trying to attempt to make fun of MMA.
And a lot of MMA fans already look down on pro wrestling,
Absolutely.
And this just made it worse.
Way worse.
And honestly, I think you've got way too many people giving their opinion and input into the TNA product right now.
Yes.
Why does there need to be 30 people at a TNA creative meeting? I saw it on the Hogan documentary. There was a whole room full of people talking about what they were going to do on Impact. Why do you need that many people's input into your product?
And what was their decision?
Yeah, it was all based on a low blow from the Pope. You know,
30 people to come up with a low blow from the Pope, but yet I'm a mark. I'm a mark that has no clue on how this business works. And I'll refer to this, okay? People are like, oh, Hogan put you in your place, yada, yada, yada. I pissed Hogan off, okay? Because I told the dude the flat-out truth, and he got offended by it. He was insulted. He said that I insulted him, and I went too far. Okay, the bottom line is what did I say that isn't true? Hogan has no clue what this generation of wrestling fans want. Hogan has no business being in the ring. And all these 40-plus-year-old veterans have no business being in the ring. I mean, let's talk about the concept of Kevin Nash and his idea of his character.
Do we have to bring this up?
We have to bring this up because this is the type of stuff that's going on in TNA right now. Kevin Nash thinks because Clint Eastwood can play in Gran Turismo or whatever the stupid... Gran Torino, thank you. Didn't watch it. He could play a character at 72 years old that was still believable badass, that he thinks that the same thing can go on in pro wrestling. So basically what this guy is saying is that we're actors and that the athletic ability in pro wrestling has nothing to do with pro wrestling. You don't need to be an athlete. You just need to go out there and play a character. And if that's the truth, then what's the point of watching pro wrestling?
Yep.
This guy has no clue or concept that the fact of the matter is this guy is way, way past his prime, and he could never do the things that these young guys can do now when he was in his prime, which was never that good in the first place.
How exactly are you going to have Kevin Nash compare pro wrestling to Hollywood? How do you think they made Clint Eastwood look in that movie? How much time did they have to spend editing and editing that movie so that he could look good?
Yeah.
It's, to me, it makes no sense.
Let's just talk about this too, okay? Right now, TNA and Kevin Nash are in negotiations for a contract. Okay, so you're going to negotiate with a guy who's basically told fans on his Twitter to do sexual favors to him, to do sexual favors, that he'll do sexual favors to their mothers, who is constantly... there's a shoot interview with him and X-Pac where he's constantly wasted drinking wine by the bottle and crying about how Scott Hall and X-Pac have had such a horrible drug addiction. This guy is completely mentally unstable. He's a complete moron. He offers nothing to your company. It's like this, okay? I'm a Cowboys fan, right? Marion Barber is getting paid $40 million on a 7-year contract, and we have Tashard Choice, who's our third down back, who's our third string running back. He is clearly better than Marion Barber, but Marion Barber continues to get the playing time because he's getting paid a huge contract, because he has more of a name, because for whatever reason Jerry thinks that this guy produces more of a buzz. I have no idea, because the bottom line is his play on the field sucks. Marion Barber sucks. This guy could not start for any football team. And we put in Tashard Choice because Marion Barber got injured, and we had our best production in the run game since last year, week 3. And that's exactly what would happen in TNA. If these old veterans would go away, if they would get injured, die, whatever they need to do, if they would be gone from TV, and they would be forced to push their young guys, I guarantee you TNA would be a better show.
Absolutely. You need to look at two things when you look in the mirror. Number one, you need to look at what got you to where you are.
Absolutely.
What got you to where you are? Who was at the forefront of your company? And that was your young talent.
And just to say, just because Jeff Jarrett was in the main event, listen, I never ordered a pay-per-view to watch the main event. I never ordered the pay-per-view to watch Jeff Jarrett versus Kevin Nash, or Jeff Jarrett versus Rhino, or Jeff Jarrett versus DDP, or whatever they did, Kevin Nash, DDP. We ordered it for the X division.
We ordered it for the tag division.
For the tag division. We ordered it for pretty much the whole undercard.
Yeah.
But we never cared about the main event, but it didn't matter because the undercard was so strong, the main event was pointless.
The thing is, Final Resolution started off strong from what I heard, okay? And then the last hour was garbage, because I saw the last hour.
It was awful.
And so what type of impression are you leaving to your fans when the show goes off the air? You're not closing the show going, oh, that was amazing. You're going, ugh.
And let's just, okay, right now your main event scene is Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson, and Matt Morgan. Those three guys are clearly not your best wrestlers in the company.
No.
Clearly.
You need to make a couple of changes. Number one, you do need to keep the storyline serious, and you can have a little comic relief, on the show. But overall, the product has to take a more serious feel to it. Because in order to get your MMA audience, you have to make pro wrestling look legit.
Yes.
You have to put your best athletes who have your best matches at the forefront of your company. Because then people are going to buy it as, wow, this is legit. These guys are going to go out there and they're going to tear the house down.
Do you remember the CM Punk Samoa Joe trilogy when that went down? Like, it was such a serious, like, critically acclaimed series of matches.
Yes.
When Angle and Benoit had their matches, those things like that, those are not going to make people, like, they're not going to miss these matches. So if you're a pro wrestling fan and you hear stuff like that is going down, if you hear Desmond Wolfe and Samoa Joe had a 45-minute match for the TNA World title, I guarantee you're going to get more of the buzz for your company.
Absolutely.
In my opinion,
And
Hulk
more
Hogan...
credibility.
Okay, when you put Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff in a group, they immediately think WCW. Immediately.
Yep.
Hogan's got the black beard with the blonde
and he's
mustache.
strumming with the crutch.
He's strumming the crutch. He's strumming the air guitar. They're immediately thinking NWO. They're immediately thinking this stuff is played out, so your Immortal gimmick is dead. Yep. It's so stupid, okay? And then you put Fortune with Immortal, so it's like the Four Horsemen teamed up with the NWO. I mean, it's awful, okay? But here's my thing. This is how you would use Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, okay? Hulk Hogan is your voice. Hulk Hogan is your Dana White. Hulk Hogan is at the press. Hulk Hogan is at the meetings. Hulk Hogan would be the guy that would promote TNA because his name value is very strong. He's Hulk Hogan, the greatest wrestler ever lived, blah, blah, blah. But he's the voice, okay? He's the guy that's going to be there whenever you're talking to the media, you're talking to Hulk Hogan, right? Never on TV. Never on TV. There's absolutely no point for Hulk Hogan to be on TV.
Yep.
He does not draw ratings. That's been proven. If you look at the ratings now, Hogan is
And
not
honestly,
drawing ratings.
You could get another mouthpiece for your company,
Absolutely.
somebody different, and you could kick him to the curb.
Well, if you're stuck with the guy, that's what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Eric Bischoff. Okay, Reaction, I like Reaction. I watch Reaction. I will mostly miss Impact and just watch Reaction just to see what happened because Reaction will have a ton of shoot interviews and it's usually pretty good. It's usually a pretty good, solid show. If Eric Bischoff came up with that show, good for him. Put him in production. He has no business being on camera. Why is Eric Bischoff throwing Ken Anderson's head into a steel post and helping Jeff Hardy win the match? This guy is clearly done. This guy has no business being involved in the wrestling business.
Full head of gray hair.
A full head of gray hair. He's old as dirt. He hasn't been, honestly, he hasn't been a name in professional wrestling in like 7 years.
Yep.
He should be backstage and backstage only.
To me, I mean, you got to think about this. You're the young, hungry talent going out there, busting your butt, and then you close the show with that.
Exactly.
And to me, there's a lot of frustration with a lot of guys, and I don't even need to be backstage to know that. Christopher Daniels talked about just recently in a Ring of Honor interview how he didn't see himself in ROH at the beginning of this year. He did not see himself there. But he said that he wanted to be with the headline guys, the guys that were making the news, the guys that were having the very best matches, and that were young and hungry to be the best. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about the guys who got into professional wrestling? Did they get into professional wrestling to be an actor? Did your best wrestlers get into professional wrestling to be an actor? No. They got into wrestling to wrestle. So if they're not allowed to go out there and give their best performance, or if they're being overshadowed by guys that are twice their age, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to get frustrated and they're going to leave.
Well, and not just that, you have had legends of professional wrestling, The Undertaker, The Rock, things like that, say that if mixed martial arts was as popular as it is right now, when I was trying to get into professional wrestling, I would have gone into mixed martial arts. So what does that tell you? That tells you that these guys that are aspiring great athletes that could be fantastic wrestlers in the future are basically saying, I'm not interested in that. I'd rather do mixed martial arts because then I can be competitive. I can use all my athletic skill and not make a mockery of myself.
And when you look at the main representatives of professional wrestling today, your WWE and your TNA, what makes you think anybody would want to get into it?
Right.
I mean, when I look at both of those products, I'm not like, wow, I wish I could be a part of that.
When you're looking at the cream of the crop of mainstream professional wrestling,
it's embarrassing.
And you're aspiring to be a professional wrestler, and you don't want to go to the WWE because of politics or because you can't perform your craft.
And the
way
guys
that
that are
you
there
want
to leave.
If that's the case, then what makes you aspire to be a professional wrestler? If the best company, the one that makes the most money, definitely not the best, the company sucks, but the one that makes the most money, the one that's on TV the most, the one that gives you the most mainstream attention, and you don't want to go there, I mean, there's a serious problem there.
Yep.
You know, and
the bottom line is pro wrestling just has to evolve.
Yeah.
And the people that are running the show need to get out. They need to take a hard look at their career and think of something else.
Some ideas that I think would be very good for pro wrestling to evolve. I think there needs to be more heel characters like there were back in the day when Triple H was the man. I think the cowardly heel character is dead. I think that it's BS. I think that a heel that always is one of those guys that he's champion, he's happy, yada yada, and nobody can beat him, but as soon as he gets a challenge, he runs away from it. I think it's dead.
Yeah, I think
it's done.
I think the cowardly heel thing works while you're building up your show, but I think once you get to the show, the pay-per-view, the payoff, whatever it is, they need to shine like never before.
Yeah, I agree.
It's exactly how Shawn Michaels did it.
But the problem is now is once they get into the ring, they're still the coward.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
why
crap.
are you the world champion? That's the bottom
But like
line.
Triple H, okay, yeah, he might have been cowardly at some moments, but I guarantee you, when you got into the ring with Triple H, it was game time.
That's what
and there wasn't one cowardly look on his face through the whole entire match. He was ready to destroy you.
Yep.
And right now, you've got Josh Koscheck and George St. Pierre. Josh Koscheck is clearly the heel. George St. Pierre is clearly the babyface. And I guarantee you, when Josh Koscheck's music hits and he goes out there, you're not going to see this cocky, arrogant prick anymore. Mm-hmm. You're going to see a guy that's ready to throw down.
Yeah.
He's ready to fight, and he's ready to give it his all. Pro wrestling should be a lot like that.
Absolutely. You definitely need to have more serious storylines, and there has to be a winner and a loser.
Yes, no more
Stop
run-ins.
the run-ins. Stop all the BS. Let there be a one-on-one or a two-on-two, whatever type of match you're in. Let there be a winner and a loser.
No more valets in a cage to prevent interference, and then still finish the match in a DQ. Brilliant booking, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, things like that, it's just absolutely silly. Why is it that if Mickey James is going to have a country concert, you need Eric Young and Chaps? Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? Who comes up with that? Why is Eric Young even involved in this storyline?
And who goes, oh, we're going to give the green light to that?
Why is Jin Me affiliated with Tara and Motor City Machine Guns are affiliated with Mickey James? You get no explanation. I mean, at least say they want to hit it, something. I mean, I don't get it. It's silly, it's stupid, and it's constant like this all the time. And then Dixie will post on her Twitter, I want to thank the fans so much for sticking by us. I want to thank our wrestlers for giving us such a fantastic year. BS! Because I know a ton of people that have messaged Dixie and a ton of people that post her stuff, and our stuff is ignored. And the bottom line is, Dixie, is I can make 10,000 videos, and I'm sure you're sick of me by now, and I'm sure you don't even watch them anymore. But the bottom line is, you have no clue what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have no clue.
You want to take a hard look at your numbers? Look at how many people you're converting to pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Look at how many people watch your Impact show, and then how many people actually order your pay-per-view. If Dana White, who gets the same ratings with like the Ultimate Fighter and their countdown shows that you get with your Impact, only got, let's say, 40,000 pay-per-view buys, 50,000 pay-per-view buys, how pissed off would Dana White be?
Oh, I guarantee
because he's converting, what, a 20th of his audience
I
to
guarantee you
pay-per-view?
the next
That's
card
what
would
you're
be
doing.
so crazy if that happened. You know, the thing is, though, is you're getting over 1 million viewers, and you're probably getting what, 20,000 buys?
Well, let's be generous and say 50.
50,000 buys.
Per pay-per-view.
Out of a million
That's still
viewers.
horrible.
That's
horrible.
still
horrific.
Blame the internet. Blame people streaming it.
Blame
Blame
the UFC.
whatever you want. But the bottom line is Machida and Rampage's countdown show got 500, got like less than your Impact rating, and they got a 500,000 buy. And it's like Matt Hardy said, and I totally agree with this. Mixed martial arts has proven that if you produce the right product, people will still buy your show. So really and truthfully, you're just not producing the right product.
That's right.
What was great about Bound for Glory? Bound for Glory, man, that used to mean we're giving it your all. We're giving everything that we have. We're going to go out there, bust out all of our stops. This is our biggest show of the year.
Yep.
What match of the year candidate was on Bound for Glory? Nothing.
Crickets.
Nothing.
Yeah. And do all the belts need to be defended on every show? Does there need to be a gimmick match for every other match?
And can we please have the best wrestlers be champions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
if you're the best athlete, why are you not near the main event picture?
We all know that Robbie E is champion because of this stupid Jersey Shore gimmick that's not getting over, so you're trying to make him champion to get some attention. Okay? We know that Jeff Hardy is the champion because you think this guy draws the most, and maybe he does, but everybody knows he has a drug problem. They've got a YouTube video of Jeff Hardy trashing CM Punk while hammered, you know. Then you've got another, the women's champion, who I don't even know who it is. I don't even care. You've got Motor City Machine Guns, who are the tag team champions. That's the best thing you've got because those are the best tag team wrestlers that you have, and they are the champions. So why can't you follow suit with the World Heavyweight title, the #1 championship, the #1 thing that is your company?
Is they look at belts as props.
Absolutely.
They don't look at them as prestigious.
But that's not going to just TNA.
No.
Because the WWE has Miz as champion.
They're just props.
It's a prop.
Yep,
Miz is clearly not your... And I'm getting really sick and tired of you idiots that keep saying, well, he's a young guy, he's a fresh talent, he deserves the championship.
A young guy that can talk on the mic.
That
sucks horribly in the ring.
He's improved somewhat, but he is nowhere near champion level.
No.
Is he better than Daniel Bryan? No. Is he better than Caval? No. Is he better than CM Punk? No. Is he better than half the roster? Is he better than Kofi Kingston? No.
You have to build your company around your athletes, around the guys that can go out there and deliver a good show.
And not just that, Wade Barrett is one of their #1 guys. He's their big headline guy, and he's going to be probably facing The Undertaker at Mania. This guy sucks. He completely sucks. And what are you people thinking? And then you're going to be happy about it? And you know what I've learned, Bill? And this is what I've learned. I think that now professional wrestling has re-educated an audience to where they don't even know what's good and bad anymore. They will settle for mediocrity and say that it's great. Because they're so used to seeing such horrible stuff that if they get one pay-per-view with Jin Me and Motor City Machine Guns, that is a great match. It's an amazing pay-per-view.
Honestly, to me, though, you've got less and less people watching the show, watching the product all the time.
Absolutely.
People are leaving pro wrestling in herds, man.
Absolutely.
And so you might have that small audience that still likes what's going on, but obviously they're not making money.
And let me tell you a transition that's definitely occurring, and the thing that I've really noticed is when Monday Night Football happens, WWE loses a lot of its viewers. Well, what happens is after the football season's over, they don't get those viewers back because they've realized that this show is so bad that I'm fine without it. I don't need to watch WWE. It's awful. Yeah. I'll just stick to watching another sport, or I'll watch MMA, or whatever the case may be, because between Strikeforce and UFC, there's going to be enough MMA to go around that you do not need to watch pro wrestling. And don't give me the crap that says that I am promoting MMA over pro wrestling. What I am saying is pro wrestling is in the shape that it's in because of pro wrestling.
That's right.
So we should not punish ourselves and watch this horrible crap because we love pro wrestling when they refuse to give us a solid show. Yeah. MMA will give you a solid show. So if you want an alternative to spend your money on and be satisfied with, it's mixed martial arts 100%.
Absolutely. And you know, even if a TNA or WWE pay-per-view was free to me, I don't know that I would want to spend my time and give up my time to watch it.
Absolutely.
That's how little I care about what's going on in professional wrestling right now.
Absolutely. So what makes you think I want to spend $34.95 on it or $44.95?
I know. You're going to charge that type of dollar for that show? Are you serious? I can rake the leaves in my yard for free. And I'd honestly consider doing that over watching a pay-per-view right now. You know, it's more, I mean, at least I'm using my time valuably, you know? So, to me, I follow one company right now, and that's Ring of Honor. Why? Because Ring of Honor doesn't insult me.
Nope.
It doesn't treat me like I'm an idiot. And it takes the best athletes and puts them in the best matches possible for the fans. And so, coming up, we've got Final Battle, the last internet pay-per-view of the year for Ring of Honor. And if you haven't seen any of Ring of Honor's internet pay-per-views throughout this year, they're amazing. You should check them out. Because this is going to be a very memorable show. You've got Davey Richards challenging Roderick Strong for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And Ring of Honor titles are not props. When you look at how the WWE treats their champions and showcases their champions, when you look at how TNA treats their champions and showcases their champions, it's completely different in Ring of Honor. The guys that are the champions in Ring of Honor are truly looked at and built as the very best. And that is why their shows mean something. And that is why they have their best athletes in that spot.
Yep.
Roderick Strong, Davey Richards for the Ring of Honor World title. This was supposed to be Davey Richards' last show. Davey Richards was supposed to retire after this match. He chose to stay in the business because that's all he's known, that's all he's done, that is the true love and passion of his life. And so now he gets his shot. He lost to Tyler Black at Death Before Dishonor. He gets a final shot at Final Battle, and it's going to be an incredible match. For those of you that haven't seen Davey Richards or Roderick Strong in the ring, these guys are absolutely brutal, athletic. You're going to get everything you could ever want in this match. You've got the Kings of Wrestling, who are the current Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, basically with who is it, Shane Hagedorn, facing the Briscoe family, which I'm not really a big fan of that, but I can tell you that the Kings of Wrestling and the Briscoes have had amazing matches this year, and I think that this match will be something to talk about. I think it will be good.
Yeah.
And you've got
Steen
and Generico fight without honor. And what that means, no rules, no disqualification, and it is the most brutal match that you can have in Ring of Honor. Go watch a previous match that was a fight without honor in this company. Go watch Eric Stevens and Roderick Strong. Go watch Chris Hero and Eddie Kingston. Go watch Bryan Danielson and Takeshi Morishima. All of those matches are extremely brutal. And I expect this match to be one of the very best.
And the difference between a Ring of Honor gimmick and a TNA gimmick is Ring of Honor's gimmicks are fitting. They belong. They've built this thing up to the point where a fight without honor is necessary.
Yep.
TNA will pull out a fight without honor after a 1-month feud and put it on Impact. Yep. That's the problem.
Absolutely. And this feud has been building for a year. They
Exactly.
have had this thing for a full year.
And this is
kept it
also at Final Battle.
Yeah.
Get it? Final Battle, fight without honor, and they're going to settle their feud, and then it's
be
done.
over.
Wow.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult.
Hard.
And what's ironic about this, Doug, is last year at Final Battle in the same building, Kevin Steen turned on El Generico.
Wow.
So now they're going to end it in the same place where it started.
That is some brilliant booking.
I know.
Bill.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
Extremely complicated.
Yeah.
And this match will be nothing short of spectacular.
Yep.
It is going to be unbelievable. You've got Eddie Edwards defending the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Eddie Edwards has been under the wing of Davey Richards for a long time, and it has done nothing but help him. I mean, Eddie Edwards is the real deal, and he's proven that time and time again this year. Each year he gets better and better, and he will be defending the television title against Kenny Omega, who is another guy that will be a future main event star. Mark my words.
Yep.
No doubt about it. You've got Christopher Daniels facing Homicide, two of the founding guys in ROH, two of the guys that have been there since basically the very beginning, going one-on-one to determine probably the guy that will get the next title shot. And I
Yeah.
expect that to be Christopher Daniels.
Yeah.
And I expect Davey Richards to win the Ring of Honor World title. Then you're going to have Davey Richards and Christopher Daniels at the next Internet pay-per-view, which is going to be absolutely crazy, unbelievable.
Oh, darn.
You know, I don't think I'm leaving anything out. Is there anything else I'm leaving out just off the top of my head?
Kenny King's facing somebody, isn't he?
The All Night Express
All
will
Night
probably
Express.
be on the card. I imagine it'll be against one of the new teams they have in ROH.
Sure, that'll be good.
You've got, I think, Daisy Hayes and Awesome Kong versus Sarah Del Rey and a mystery opponent.
Yeah.
And this will be a showcase of what women's wrestling basically used to be in TNA when you had Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. You're going to have...
Let me go there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I want to clarify an argument that has been gone over and over that I am a sexist. All I have said over and over and over again. Listen, if Gail Kim and Awesome Kong can have the matches that they had, if women can deliver the type of matches that are those type of caliber matches, I am all for them being on the card.
Yep.
What I am saying, though, is if you get a bunch of dumb divas like the Beautiful People and Mickey James and Tara and all these stupid chicks that are somewhat solid of a wrestler but cannot deliver like the men can, then they should not be on the card because they're women.
I agree, and it's also about portrayal and how they're booked, too.
I agree.
You know, and I think that's partly the problem. I mean, obviously, TNA is just one big cluster of a bunch of people, and that's probably part of the problem with like your Tara and your.
But
Mickey
if you
James
look at Ring of Honor, they don't really focus too much on the women.
Not at all.
And they have amazing shows.
Absolutely.
Because what happens is they put their very best that they have, and they put them on the show. So, yes, when Awesome Kong is going to be on Ring of Honor, I'm sure you're going to get a pretty darn good match, and I'm sure that it can compete with the men's matches.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have Velvet Sky versus whoever they have, Tara,
Yeah.
it's not going to be that good. I'm telling you that right now, and there's no way that it's better than Amazing Red versus
Or
Jay
Lacey
Lethal.
Von Erich or
Lacey
anything
Von
like that.
Erich or whoever they have. There's even Taylor Wilde. Put Taylor Wilde up there against Angelina Love, and there's no way they're going to have a better match than Amazing Red and Jay Lethal. And why are they on the card? Because they're women. And not just that, they have a tag team division with only 6 women, and they have a tag team belts, and then they have a women's title. Way too much focus on the knockouts, and if you put 2 women's matches on a pay-per-view, on an 8-match pay-per-view, you extremely hurt the pay-per-view because the women cannot deliver like the men. That is the facts. Cry me a river.
Yeah. The bottom line is Ring of Honor is the only company with a TV deal right now that still respects the wrestling fan.
Yep.
And that's my firm opinion, and I'm going to stand by it, you know. And for me, Final Battle is going to be another amazing show at the Grand Ballroom in New York City. And you're going to have a crazy audience. It's going to be an amazing show all around.
Yep.
And it's $14.95.
And let me
Really,
explain my story is, okay, I was working a night shift, and I got off of night shift, and my body cycle was on nights, right? Well, I just tried to kill my cycle by staying up for 24 hours. Well, Ring of Honor was coming on that night, and I didn't know if I was going to make it because I had been up for 24 plus hours. And it got to be about hour 28 when Ring of Honor started. Well, I thought for sure that if Ring of Honor started 28, I've been up 28 hours, I didn't know if I was still going to be awake, right? Well, I stayed and watched the whole entire Ring of Honor show. My adrenaline was pumping even after being up 28 hours. And I ended up staying up like 32 hours. Even after Ring of Honor was over, I couldn't go to bed because I was so pumped for what I saw. It was a fantastic show. I don't necessarily like the HD Net show all that much, and I don't necessarily order the DVDs and watch them, but I guarantee you, wrestling fans, if you order their internet pay-per-views, there is no way on earth that you will be disappointed.
they're going to give everything that they have. TNA, WWE, you need to take a really hard look in the mirror. Look at evolving your product. You have to evolve. You have to stop blaming other people for your mistakes.
Absolutely.
It is time for a change. It's time to put the best athletes at the forefront of your company to get the credibility back that the pro wrestling business so rightfully deserves.
And it's time to cut down on pay-per-views. Your business product, you're not delivering
No.
the buys that basically say that you need 12 to 16 pay-per-views a year.
And your matches have no meaning because there's so many pay-per-views.
And I honestly think it'd be all right if pro wrestling had an off season, because the people would be excited for when it came back. It would have more of a buzz. I think that pro wrestling should have 6 to 8 pay-per-views a year. That's really the most it should have.
Absolutely.
They don't deliver like they did in the Attitude Era. They don't get the buys that they did in the Attitude Era. It's time to cut it down. It's time to do a new concept. Pro wrestling needs to evolve. The characters need to evolve. The storylines need to evolve.
The in-ring action.
The in-ring needs to evolve. And
the veterans have to go away.
Finishes need to evolve. And with evolution, it's always out with the old and in with the new. So
veterans need to get out.
I think that about sums it up. I just have one more quick message to Dixie, and I posted this on my Twitter. And people that aren't following me on my Twitter, you should. All that Hulk Hogan stuff went down on Twitter, and I constantly am updating my Twitter. I also use FormSpring where you can ask me questions. But the bottom line is, Dixie, is the fans don't need TNA. TNA needs the fans. And if you continue to not listen to us, if you continue to ignore us and listen to morons like Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and Kevin Nash and Jeff Jarrett and all the guys that we don't want to see anymore, you're constantly going to lose your fan base, and then you're going to be out of business. And that is the bottom line. And you know what, Vince? Same goes for you. Because I don't care how big your company is, your company's ratings drop and your pay-per-views drop every single year. And it's going to continue to happen because mixed martial arts only gets bigger and you only get smaller. So either you guys straighten up, either you guys listen to the fans, or you enjoy your demise.